right now, somewhere out there, is the day you were born. It's not a memory, it's not gone, it's still there, happening, as real as this moment. And somewhere out there, further along, is the day you die. Every moment of your life, your first word, your worst day, the last breath you will ever take, laid out in a row that already exists. All that at once, right now. And you are not living your life, you are moving through it like a train on a track that was already built, all the way to the end, before you ever got on. That's not a movie plot. That's one of the most serious ideas in all of physics. And some of the smartest people who have ever lived thought it was simply true. Here's the strange part. Time is the only thing you are the most sure of. You can feel it right now, passing. Tick, tick, tick. It's the most obvious thing in the world, and it might be the single biggest illusion there is. I'm going to show you 7 things about time. Every single one is real. Every one is measured, tested, or built into a device in your pocket right now. And by the end, I don't think you're going to trust that ticking anymore. So let's start with something you already believe and take it apart. Okay, toddler version. You are moving through time right now, 1 second, every second, forward, always forward. You have never once gone back. You've never even paused. You woke up this morning and time carried you here to this exact second, whether you want it or not. So here's the picture almost everybody has in their head. Time is like a river. It flows. The past is behind you. Downstream, gone. The future is ahead, upstream. Not there yet, and you're floating in the one tiny spot called now. And the river pushes you forward exactly 1 second per time. Simple, obvious, everyone agrees. It's also, and I mean this, probably wrong. Not the you're moving forward part. That part is real. The part that's wrong is almost everything else. That there's one river, that everyone's floating at the same speed, that now is a real place, and that the future isn't here yet. Every single one of those, physics has poked a hole in. So let me poke the first one. Because it turns out you and the top of your head are not the same age. This sounds like a joke. It's not. It is measured, published, real result. And the scientists who did it said it exactly like this. Your head is older than your feet. Here's why. By the way, even as I'm reading this, it sounds crazy. Here's why. Gravity slows down time. Not feels like it. Actually, the stronger the gravity, the slower time runs, and gravity is very slightly stronger the closer you are to the ground. Because you're closer to the giant heavy thing making it, the earth, so your feet down by the floor sit in slightly stronger gravity than your head, up here. Which means time is running very slightly slower at your feet and slightly faster at your head. Every second you stand up, your head is aging a tiny bit faster than your feet. They are drifting apart in time right now as you watch this. Now, how tiny? Because you were about to call me out, and you should. In 2010, some of the best clocks ever built measured exactly this. They raised one clock about a foot higher than the other. 1 foot, and sure enough, the higher one runs faster. The difference over an entire 79-year life, about 90 billionths of a second. So yeah, your head is winning the race to be older by a number so small you will never ever feel it. Sorry to the tall people, you're aging faster, barely, but you are. But here's why this tiny number is a big deal. It's not the size, it's that it happens at all. Because it means time isn't one thing ticking for everybody. Your time and my time can run at different speeds. And it depends on something as dumb as how high off the ground you are. Stand on a mountain for 30 years instead of the beach, and you will have aged for real, about a millisecond more. A mountain buys you a millisecond, but gravity has a much scarier setting. Now crank it up. If a little mountain slows time by a millisecond, what about something really heavy? The heaviest thing in the universe, a black hole. And near 1, gravity is so insane that time doesn't just slow a little, it nearly stops. If you watched a friend fall towards a black hole, you would never actually see them hit it. They appear to slow down, freeze, and hang there at the edge forever, getting redder and dimmer, but never quite falling in. For them, it's over in a heartbeat. For you, they are frozen in time for the rest of eternity. Same two people, completely different amounts of time. And that's not science fiction. That is just gravity, turned all the way up. So gravity bends time a little bit on a staircase. A monstrous amount at a black hole. Now, what about speed? Because gravity isn't the only thing that messes with time. Speed does it too. The faster you move, the slower your time runs, compared to everyone standing still. This is the big one, so let me say it in a toddler. If you go on a really fast trip and come back, less time will have passed for you than for everyone who stayed home. You will have skipped a tiny bit into their future. That is not a theory, that is a thing that has physically happened to human beings. Astronauts. Every astronaut who has orbited the Earth has come back a tiny fraction of a second younger than they would have been if they stayed. They time travel into the future by a hair. By the way, if you find this as interesting as myself, it would really mean a lot to me if you think about subscribing. But let's go on with the video. The man who spent the most time in orbit is right now about 15th of a second younger than the rest of us. He's genuinely, measurably living a sliver in the past of his own life. And that's just a gentle orbit. Push it further, and you climbed into a ship that could fly close to the speed of light, flew around for what feels like 1 year to you, and came home. Decades could have passed Earth. Your friends, old. Your house, gone. Everyone you knew moved on or is long dead. You'd step out barely a year older into a world that left you behind. You didn't travel through space, really. You traveled through time, forwards. One way. This is the one kind of time travel physics completely agrees with. You absolutely can reach the future faster than everyone else. You just can't ever come back. And before you say, okay, but that's astronauts, who cares? Nature does this constantly. Right over your head, there are tiny particles called muons, made when stuff from space slams into the top of our air, way up high. Here's the problem. They fall apart almost instantly. They live for such a tiny flash that by the normal clock, they should die miles above the ground. They should never reach you. And yet, they are hitting you right now. If you pass through your body every second. How? Because they move so fast that their time runs slow. From their point of view, they barely aged on the way down. It is quite literally raining time traveled particles on your head constantly. You just can't feel it. And here's the one you can't wave away. Because you used it today. You did. You've got a phone. Your phone finds where you are using satellites. GPS. Those satellites are way up high in weaker gravity, so their clocks tick faster, and they're whipping around the planet fast, which makes their clocks tick slower. Two effects fighting each other, and they don't cancel out. The satellites end up gaining about 38 millionths of a second every single day. That sounds like nothing. Watch what nothing does if we ignored it. If the engineers just went, close enough, your GPS would be wrong, and not a little. It would drift by about 10 kilometers every day. Your map on your phone would put you in the wrong town by dinner time. It'd be useless for finding anything within a couple of weeks. So every GPS satellite is built with its clocks deliberately set to the wrong speed on purpose before launch to cancel out the way time bends up there. Read that again. We built time bending correction into our navigation because if we didn't, the map would break. Einstein's weird idea about time isn't in a textbook. It's in your pocket. It's how you get to the airport. So, gravity changes time. Speed changes time. Your head, your feet, a satellite, an astronaut, all ticking at their own speeds. Which brings us to a very uncomfortable question. If everyone's clock runs at a different speed, whose clock is the real one? What time is it actually right now? And the answer is going to break something. Here's the thing we have to give up. There is no now. Not a shared one. Not a single now. That the whole universe is having together. I know that feels insane. Of course, there's a now. It's this right now. We are all in it. You, me, everyone on Earth, sharing this same moment. Except we are not. And Einstein proved it. Toddler version at the same time is not real. At the same time is not a real solid thing. Whether two things happen at the same time actually depends on how you're moving. Two events that happen at the very same instant for you can happen at different times for someone just walking past you. Not because their watch is wrong, because there is no single correct answer to when. Let me make it real. Somewhere across the galaxy, a star is still burning right now. Or did it already die? Turns out, there's no true answer. Depending on how you're moving through space. Right now, the now way out there tilts. For one version of you, that star is still shining. For another version of you, moving just slightly differently, it already exploded. Both are correct. There is no master clock, there is no cosmic right now ticking for everyone. And this is where it stops being a fun fact and starts getting under your skin. Because if there's no single now, then now isn't special. Your now is just a slice. Mine is my slice. And if nobody's slice is the real one, then maybe every slice is equally real. Maybe the past isn't gone, maybe the future isn't waiting, maybe they are all just there, which is exactly what the cold open was about. Let me show you the idea that genuinely disturbs physicists. It's called the block universe. Toddler version, imagine your whole life is a loaf of bread, not a river, a loaf, a solid block, and every slice of that loaf is a single moment in time. This slice, you being born. This slice, you right now watching this. This slice further down the loaf, the day you die. In a river, only now exists and it flows. But in a loaf, the whole thing exists already. All at once. Every slice just sitting there, equally real. Your birth is still there. Your death is already there. You just happen to be experiencing this one slice. And the feeling of time flowing is you moving your attention down the low, slice by slice. Nothing is actually flowing. It's already there. And sit with what it actually means. Every good moment you have ever had, it's not gone. Your happiest day is still out there in its slice, real happening. But so is your worst one. The people you've lost in the loaf, they're still here, still laughing in their slice. You just can't visit. And the hardest part, the ending, is already written. Not will be, is. It's a strange kind of comfort and a strange kind of horror at the same time, at the same exact time. And honestly, I don't know which one I'm supposed to feel. And here's why serious people believe this.
I agree.
Not just stoned teenagers like me. Kidding. No drugs. It falls right out of what we just proved. If there's no universal now, if the past and the future aren't agreed on by everybody, then the cleanest way to make the math work is that past, present, and future already exist together in the block. The flow is just an illusion. I want to be honest with you. The way I always am, even though I'm just a stranger from the internet. This is not proven. It's an interpretation. A serious, mainstream, respected reading of the physics. But we cannot go stand outside the loaf and check. Some brilliant physicists think it's exactly right. Others think time really does flow and we're missing something. No one has the final answer. But here's the part that got me. The person who leaned hardest into this idea was Einstein himself. When his closest friend died, Einstein wrote a letter to his family. And in it, to comfort them, he wrote this. That for people who really understand physics, the difference between the past, the present, and the future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. He wasn't being poetic, he meant it. His friend wasn't gone. That slice of the loaf was still there. He was consoling a grieving family by telling them death might just be a trick of how we experience time. Let that sink in. And a philosopher who argued with Einstein about this had a name for him. He called him Parmenides, after an ancient Greek who said change itself is an illusion. That deep down nothing ever really happens. It all just is. So if the future's already sitting there, finished, why can't you remember it? Why does time so obviously go one way? Hold on, because the answer is dumber and stranger than what you think. Here's a genuinely weird fact about the laws of physics. They don't care which way time goes. Almost every fundamental law works exactly the same forward and backwards. Film two balls bouncing off each other. Play it in reverse. The reversed version obeys every law perfectly. You couldn't tell which was which. The equations have no arrow. No, this way is the future. To physics, forwards and backwards are the same. But that is insane, right? Because your whole life has an obvious arrow. You remember yesterday, not tomorrow. Coffee goes cold, never hot on its own. You get older, never younger. A glass falls and shatters. It never leaps back together. Time clearly points one way. So if the laws don't have a direction, where does the direction come from? One word: mess. Toddler version: a tidy room can only get messy. Think about it. There is basically one way for your Lego to be a perfect built castle, and a billion ways for it to be a scattered pile on the floor. So if you just bump the table, shake things up, let time run, it's overwhelmingly likely to go from the one neat version towards one of the billion messy ones. Not because a law says so, just because there are way more ways to be messy than to be tidy. That's it. That's the arrow of time. The universe is going from tidy to messy, from ordered to spread out, simply because there are so many more ways to be messy. Physicists call the mess entropy. And the one rule is, overall, it only ever goes up. The smashed glass has more than the whole glass. So classes smash and don't unsmash. You remember the past and not the future, because the past was tidier. And memories are a record of the tidier direction. The entire reason your life feels like it's going somewhere is just stuff spreading out. And this finally explains something you never thought to ask. Why does the past feel fixed, done, unchangeable? Well, the future feels wide open, full of maybes. It's the mess again. There's basically one tidy past that could have led to this exact moment. So the past feels locked in place. But there are countless messier futures we could tumble into from here. So the future feels open. Fixed past, open future isn't some deep law of time. It's just what it feels like to be a little pocket of order sliding towards the mess. Which leaves one monster of a question. One of the biggest unanswered questions in all of science. If messiness only goes up, then yesterday was tidier than today, and the day before tidier still. Run that all the way back, and the very beginning of the universe must have been the tidiest, most ordered, lowest mess moment ever. Perfectly neat, and nobody, and I mean nobody, knows why. Why did the universe start so impossibly tidy? We have no accepted answer. The entire direction of time, your entire sense of past and future, hangs off of one unexplained fact. For some reason, in the very beginning, everything was neat, and that's the second one I looked up, and then had to close the laptop for a while. Okay. Deep breath. This is number 7, and it's the one I can't shake. We have bent time with gravity, bent it with speed, killed the idea of now, laid the future out in the loaf, and blamed the whole arrow of time on mess. But through all of that, I kept assuming one thing was safe. That time, at least, is real. That it exists and does something, even if it's weird. And here's where even that starts to slip. Because when physicists go looking for time in the deepest, most fundamental math, the stuff underneath everything, where they try to fit the universe's biggest laws together, something horrifying happens. Time isn't there, and I got goosebumps as I'm saying this. In some of our deepest equations, there is no time at all, no ticking, no flow. It just isn't there. Let that sink in. We wrote down our best, deepest description of how reality works at the very bottom. And time, the thing that entire life is made of, the thing you cannot even imagine living without, didn't make the cut. It's like describing a song in perfect detail. Every note, every instrument, and never once mentioning that it moves, which has led very serious physicists to a genuinely unsettling possibility that time might not be fundamental, that it's not part of the bottom layer of reality at all, that it emerges like temperature, like a rainbow, out of something deeper that doesn't have time in it, that the flow you feel might not be built into the universe. It might be built into you, and that's the last door, so let's walk through it. What if the flow of time isn't out there at all? What if it's happening in your head? Start with this. You have never in your entire life seen the present. Not once, not ever. Light takes time to travel. When you look at the sun, you are seeing light that left it 8 minutes ago. If the sun vanished, you'd have 8 full minutes of normal sunny sky before you had any idea. You're looking 8 minutes into the past. The stars at night, some died thousands of years ago. You're seeing ancient light from things that aren't even there anymore. And it's not just space. Look across the room. Seriously, look across the room. And that wall, you are seeing it a few billionths of a seconds late. Your own hand late. Everything you have ever seen your entire life is the past. Light is always old news by the time it reaches you. There is no version of looking that shows you now. So you're basically already living in the past just because of light. But it gets worse. Because your own brain adds a second delay on top of that one. When something happens, light reaches your eye, signals crawl into your brain, and your brain stitches it all into one smooth picture. That takes time. So by the moment you consciously experience now, it's already gone. A scientist measured how far behind you are, about 80 milliseconds, nearly a tenth of a second. The now you are feeling right this instant, me talking, whatever's around you actually happened about a tenth of a second ago. You're watching a replay and calling it life. One of the scientists puts it perfectly. Your brain is like a live TV broadcast that's secretly on a short delay, quietly editing the feed before it lets you see it. So everything lines up nice and smooth. Now is not something you are in, it's something your brain builds. A fraction of a second late and hands to you already finished. So put it all together. The one thing you were sure of at the start. Time passing right now. Tick, tick, tick. Physics says there is no single now. The math underneath says time might not even be a real ingredient of the universe. And your own brain admits the now you feel is a construction. Served late, edited for smoothness. So maybe the cold open wasn't a scary story. Maybe it's just true. Maybe your whole life, birth, this moment, the end, really is already sitting there all at once. In the low and the powerful, obvious, undeniable feeling that you're moving through it, that time is flowing, that the future hasn't happened yet. Maybe that is the illusion, the single most convincing illusion there is, the one you will never stop falling for. Because falling for it is what it feels like to be you. So, is time real? Is it flowing right now, carrying you forward? Or is it all already there and you're just arriving? Here's the honest answer. The one physics actually gives. Nobody knows. The smartest people who have ever lived have stared straight at this and come up short. Time is the water we swim in, the thing we are most certain of, and the thing we understand the least. I will leave you with this. Right now, a version of this exact moment is becoming your past. And somewhere out there, maybe already sitting in the low finish reel, is the last moment you will ever have. You can't see it from here. But if all of this is right, it's not waiting to happen. It's just waiting for you to reach it. So, tick, tick, Tick. Better make 'em count, whatever them even are. God bless you.